History is not merely a record of progress. It is a graveyard of sure things. And nowhere is that more true than in the field of commerce. We often view catastrophes through the lens of natural disasters. A boiling river of lava, when you're cranking one out, is a damned inconvenience, and a direct hit from a meteorite is sure to spoil your day. But there is a more insidious category of disaster, the slow-motion collision of massive egos and absolute delusion. These are calamities born in boardrooms and design studios, funded by millions and driven by men who believed they were shaping the future, only to find they were merely building their own monuments to failure. Today, we are staging a showdown of professional ruin. This is the History Catastrophes Celebrity Deathmatch. In one corner, the titan of mid-century American excess, the Ford Edsel. In the other, the plastic, battery-powered dream of the British Silicon Revolution, the Sinclair C5. One was a gargantuan chrome beast that promised to redefine the American middle class. The other was a motorized bathtub that promised to end the reign of the internal combustion engine. Both became the defining punchlines of their respective decades. We are breaking this down into 5 categories: financial ruin, the ick factor, technical incompetence, marketing delusion, and the cultural scar. Category 1. Financial ruin. To understand the magnitude of a folly, one must first follow the trail of evaporated capital. In the world of corporate failure, money is the ultimate scoreboard of shame. The Ford Edsel was not merely a new car model. It was an entirely new division of Ford Motor Company, launched in 1957. Ford spent 10 years and $250 million on the project, a staggering $2.6 billion in today's money. There are corporate gambles, and then there are corporate crusades. They built an entire ecosystem, thousands of workers, 1,200 dedicated dealerships, and the most expensive teaser campaign in advertising history. When the Edsel failed, it shook the world's largest automaker to its core. The Sinclair C5 represents a more personal form of financial suicide. Sir Clive Sinclair, undisputed king of British home computing, the genius behind the ZX Spectrum, sank £7 million of his personal fortune into what was essentially a motorized tricycle. The venture cost roughly £12 million in total. That may seem modest next to Ford's billions, but the consequences were savage. It liquidated Sinclair's vehicle company and was a large factor in him selling his entire computer empire to Alan Sugar's Amstrad just to stay afloat. The verdict. While Sinclair lost his legacy, Ford lost enough to fund a small country. The scale of the Edsel's bonfire of cash is in a league of its own. Score: Edsel, 10 out of 10. Sinclair, 6 out of 10. Category 2. The ick factor. A mishap isn't just measured by the balance sheet. It's measured by the visceral reaction of the public. If a product makes the consumer feel embarrassed or confused, it is dead on arrival. The Edsel's failure was written across its front end. Designers had intended a vertical grille to stand apart from the horizontal chrome smiles of 1950s Chevrolets and Plymouths. What they produced was an aesthetic disaster. The public immediately compared the grille to a toilet seat, a horse collar, and worse. In a decade where your car was a public declaration of success, the Edsel was the car that made neighbors whisper. It was aesthetically wrong in a way no marketing could fix. The Sinclair C5 was something else entirely. It was humiliating. A low-slung, open-air plastic shell. To drive one was to sit 10 inches off the asphalt, your head perfectly level with the churning exhaust pipes of double-decker buses and delivery trucks. In the 1980s, the era of the power suit, the yuppie, and the aspirational Porsche, the C5 made its driver look like they were riding a motorized toy to a board meeting. It didn't project the future. It projected vulnerability and ridicule in equal measure. The verdict. You could hide an Edsel in a garage, but you couldn't hide the shame of a plastic tub in a cold London rain. Edsel, 7. Sinclair, 10. Category 3. Technical incompetence. This is where tragedy turns into a comedy of errors. A debacle of design occurs when the engineering fails to meet even the most basic standards of human utility. Ford packed the Edsel with features nobody asked for. The most notorious was the Teletouch transmission, gear selection buttons placed in the center of the steering wheel hub, exactly where the horn had lived for 50 years. Worse, because the Edsel was assembled alongside Fords and Mercurys by workers who saw it as an unwelcome complication to their quotas, cars routinely arrived at dealerships with parts missing. The Sinclair C5 was powered by a 12-volt battery. Its claimed range was 20 miles, but according to a report by the AA, in a British winter, the battery often gave up before 7. No roof, no heater, no social status. Stuck like a plum in the world's worst fanny magnet. And no reverse gear. If you wanted to reverse the C5, you had to get out, pick it up, and turn it around. The indignity. Even worse, its low profile often made it invisible in traffic, and it simply could not handle hills. It became a common sight. A C5 driver frantically pedaling 100 pounds of plastic up a gentle incline, while a line of furious traffic built up behind them. The verdict. The Edsel was a badly built car. The C5 was a badly built idea. Edsel 8, Sinclair 9. Category 4. Marketing delusion. How do you sell a disaster? With total, unadulterated hubris and the unshakable conviction that the public will follow wherever you lead. Ford's marketing was a masterclass in dangerous anticipation. They refused to show the car for a full year, calling it only the E-car, and bombarded America with promises of a transportation revolution. On E-Day, crowds flocked to showrooms expecting a spaceship. The curtain pulled back to reveal something that looked like a 1954 Mercury with a strange nose. The disappointment was visceral. Ford had promised a revolution and delivered a midlife crisis. A gap between expectation and reality too wide to ever bridge. In a move that would later be seen as pure corporate hubris, Ford hired the poet Marianne Moore, a Pulitzer Prize winner, to create names that would elevate their car above grubby commercial concerns. Moore's suggestions included options like Intelligent Bullet, Varsity Stroke, and Mongoose Civic, names so patently absurd even Your Majesty Jackson would laugh at them. Sir Clive Sinclair operated on a level of delusion that was almost religious. He launched the C5 in January, the coldest, wettest month in Britain, at a glamorous event at Alexandra Palace. He told the press his plastic trike would replace the car and clean up the cities. He conducted no serious market research. He believed in his own genius so completely that he assumed the British public would abandon their heated saloons for an open-air tricycle simply because he said so. The verdict. Ford's delusion was corporate, Sinclair's was personal. Both ignored the same iron rule. People do not like being told what they want. Edsel 9. Sinclair 10. Category 5. The cultural scar. The final and most lasting measure of a cock-up is the scar it burns into collective memory. The way it reshapes the culture around it long after the wreckage has been cleared away. The Edsel entered the English language as shorthand for spectacular failure. For 60 years, any failed political campaign, flop film, or doomed product launch was branded an Edsel. It also became symbolic of the end of the chrome-heavy excesses of the 1950s. It put the new brand era on life support, proving once and for all that even a name as powerful as Ford could not conjure consumer loyalty from thin air. The Sinclair C5 did something arguably worse. It made a punchline of the electric vehicle in Britain for an entire generation. Because the C5 was so poorly executed and so publicly mocked, electric cars became synonymous with toys, naivety, and failure. It took the arrival of Tesla and 2 full decades of serious engineering progress to wash the bitter taste of the C5 out of the public's mouth. Sinclair's hubris certainly sank a company, but it also poisoned an entire category of technological progress and delayed a cleaner future. The verdict. The Edsel became a word. The C5 became a wall. Score. Edsel 8. Sinclair 9. The final verdict. We've tallied the scores and surveyed the wreckage. The Ford Edsel was a colossal failure of scale, a multi-billion-dollar lesson in the dangers of overhyping a mediocre product. It remains the gold standard of corporate ego and the primary cautionary case study for every MBA program on Earth. But the winner and the ultimate victim of today's history catastrophe deathmatch is the Sinclair C5. Ford survived the Edsel and went on to build the Mustang. The C5, by contrast, destroyed the reputation of one of Britain's most celebrated inventors, bankrupted his vision of a cleaner future, and set back the entire cause of electric transport by a generation. The Edsel was a bad car. The Sinclair C5 was a catastrophe of the human spirit, and that is a title that cannot be shared. If you're new, in the name of all that's holy, subscribe and see your life change infinitely for the better. We're out. 5,000. Peace.